Hello, I'm Rick Anthony, and this is the third segment in a series we've been producing at Radnor Studio 21 called Race for Peace. Our first segment a few weeks ago was on law enforcement and the extent that law enforcement is becoming involved in and supportive of Race for Peace. The second installment was with religious leaders from the community who are also members of and supporters of Race for Peace. Today, my co-host Andrew Howell, the founder of Race for Peace, we're going to be talking to two of his friends, both from the business community, who have been very supportive of Race for Peace for reasons that are quite personal, and they'll share those with you. Our guests today are Emil Diggins, who is a professional photographer and videographer, a business person, and Jennifer Saunders, who is Assistant Vice President with WSFS Bank. Did I get the numbers right, the letters right? And is responsible for the main line. Is that correct? Andrew, you might explain how you first met these two supporters and how engaged they've become since.
Well, I knew Hameen all his life. It's my cousin. So,
and you brought him in anyway?
And yes, and he was very eager, and I think he knew some of the past projects that I had, and I'll just let him go on with his story.
Okay. Andy gave me a call, knowing previous, involvements that he had with the community. I mean, I've always been impressed. When he reached out to me and told me this initiative he had as far as with the Race for Peace, bringing the community together to basically bridge the gap between police and community, I was very, very much interested. So I joined on. I already had a few things I was doing in the community, with the youth. So when he said, listen, we need to find a way to also get the youth involved, I jumped right on board, and I was very impressed at what I seen. We continue to keep doing this work, and that's pretty much how I got involved with the Race for Peace.
Jennifer, you were smitten because he accosted you at a meeting, is that right?
Yes, I actually met Andrew through my connections. I'm a volunteer board member with Habitat for Humanity, and I met Andrew, and he started speaking and said, we need you. And his passion just for his mission was amazing, and I thought, this is something I need to be a part of. I also have a daughter who is a recovering heroin addict, and know that they were difficult, non-peaceful times. I fortunately have a healthy daughter now and a wonderful grandson, and I would like to see Andrew's mission further. We are surrounded by much better times.
It's marvelous.
Yes.
I mean, you have a personal story as well.
Yes, one of the things is, I had an older brother who is deceased now, but he had, basically passed away at the hands of a cop. So I know growing up, the anger that I felt, the anger those around me felt also, and putting everybody in a group. At that point, I began to really dislike all police officers, dislike a lot of authority at that point. As I began to grow up and having 5 kids of my own and a granddaughter, I started to see things differently. I had family members that also went on to be police officers, friends, so I understood that just like there are good and bad people in our different communities, there are good and bad cops also. And one of the things that, always just kind of really just stayed on my mind is that if we would have had a Race for Peace committee back then that would have, reached out, that would have, let the community speak, let the officers speak, there might have been a different understanding. Something may not have been prevented. I'm not saying that situation would have, but it would have made a difference in the community as far as the hurt and the pain and the voices that went unheard. So now being a part of this, it puts a smile on my face. It makes me feel as though that, what I wish I would have had back then we have now, and it does make a difference from the summits and so forth that we have. Hearing the community speak, the conversations that are only held in our household now are being brought to the forefront, and we're starting to see a better understanding, one neighborhood, one community at a time. And that puts a smile on my face. So that's my personal connection with it. I needed to make a change, not just sit in the shadows and play pretend.
Great story. Thank you. And Andrew, how have you and people like Jennifer and Hameen, how are people pitching in to create the movement? Because I think that's how best to describe it at this point. It's a movement. And it's been growing so rapidly. I'm absolutely amazed. I've told you this before. Your energy, your commission, your passion, committing all of that. I think you said you spend half your time now, your waking hours
Eat,
anyway.
sleep, and drink.
Yeah, for Race for Peace. But how do you feel you're making a difference already?
Well, Rick, that's a good question. I believe that we're making a difference already because the race for peace is in everybody. It's just getting them to realize that, you know, a lot of people are confused. What can they do? How can they do it? Well, we're just part of a larger structure that assists individuals into obtaining peace. We're just one group with one mission, and that's peace. And I believe peace is in everybody. It's just getting them to, be involved in certain things that's more peaceful. And it's just a mindset. It's just changing people's minds. It's changing individuals' lifestyles. It's saving lives, whether it's racism, whether it's discrimination, whether it's the murder and the mayhem that's been going across the region and across the country. There has to be hope. There has to be true, and you have to believe what we're doing. And to me, it's very easy. It's not a difficult task. I've seen the vision. I'm experiencing it now here today. And every time we approach somebody, they're always enthusiastic, like, hey, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this. You know?
That raises a question. In the experiences you've had so far with Race for Peace, do you find that communities are eager, anxious to embrace this? The police, when they were here, for example, said that it was enlightening to them to go into communities, a mosque, parts of Philadelphia and so on, and just to see how life is lived there, different life, different culture, different values. It was good for them. Is it just as good for the communities on the other end? Are they beginning to see things differently and maybe open up?
I think it's amazing when we do go into communities and we have these role plays. The community gets to see the police officers, what an actual stop might look like, whether it's a pedestrian or a vehicle stop. And I've learned many things that I should and shouldn't do, which have been very surprising to me. And it also has given the police officers a chance to answer some very, very candid questions from the community. And I think the community people have walked away thinking they really have gotten some answers. And if the police didn't have it at the moment, they gave them their cards. They said, we want to fix this. We want to help you understand. And it goes further into a great deal of education. My daughter is a elementary school teacher, and we have talked about after each community event that we've had, what can we do further? Can we go into schools? Can we go into different places and continue to educate people?
Yes.
So is the program evolving based on experience? That is, identifying needs in the community and then trying to address them?
Yeah.
Education is certainly very important.
Yeah, education is one of them. One of the biggest things is making sure that we have a dual education where the community learns and also the cops learn. That's the only way that we're going to understand each other. One of the things that we put together was a police and community basketball game. We went into a community that was up in Darby. We was held at the Darby Rec Center. And it was something that community needed. But to see cops and police officers and the youth on the same team, we did not separate them because that's part of the problem now is the separation. we put them on the same team to see them play together, and you got both sides being a captain. You got both sides looking at each other like, wow, you're out of uniform, but you have skills. You can shoot a ball, you can dribble a ball, and it humanized everything. To see the smile on these kids' faces, which at first were kind of apprehensive, like, okay, we don't have no idea how this is going to go, but by the end of that game, to see the high fives and the hugs, and and to see that just come together, and to be a part of that, it was magnificent. It's something that I wish the world could have seen. But that's part of what we do, is to change minds. We have police officers on the committee, but we have the community activists, we have clergy, we have, just anybody that wants to join. It's open. So if there is a need, one of our things is to talk to the people in the different communities and say, what can we do for you? And also, what can you also do to help? We know what the problem is. That's always the biggest conversation, Rick. But the problem is, what's the solution? We could talk about the problem all day, but what's the solution to change the minds of people, redefine these definitions that were given out incorrectly? We have to do something about that, and that's what the summits and working with the youth and going into the schools and so forth is about. Because at the end of the day, the community wants to go home, and so does the police officers. So you do have that tense feeling when you have the community and the police colliding. That mindset of, well, I want to go home, well, I want to go home too. The standoff, what do we do?
What's your special message to the business community? What's in it for the business community to support Race for Peace, just as Jennifer's organization is supporting you? She is, and her organization obviously it permits her, encourages her to be involved. What are you offering the business community? What benefit is there?
Well, the business community benefits because they're in the community. So you're in the community. So by you having your place of business in our community, anybody's community, we would think that you would want to participate and would want to make things better, make a better life, start new. It's like Race for Peace is like a seed. And as we see the Race for Peace grow, extend its limbs, we go everywhere, anywhere, including the business community. So they're benefiting just the same way we're benefiting. They're in the community, they're helping the community, they're taking the community's money, they're giving some of the money back to the community. So it's a dual education, and it's a give and take.
Yeah.
That's basically how I feel about a lot of things. And I believe that Jennifer and individuals like Hameen, these people are incredible. I remember a show a long time ago, it was called That's Incredible. The Race for Peace is incredible. And you're part of the Race for Peace. Please join, please help us. I know you want peace in your life. I know you want peace. I know you don't want the things that's been going on across our country, which are very controversial issues. We don't have enough time, again, to talk about that. But there's so many things going on the daily that committees such as this and a movement such as the Race for Peace is very much needed in America.
So Andrew, you have a number of sectors, religion, law enforcement, and business, who are now supporting you.
Yes.
But what's in it for business? What do they get back for their participation and their support of Race for Peace?
Well, Rick, I think they get more business. So being involved with the community, you're engaging. So it's a give and take, and I think Jennifer can elaborate on how they prosper from helping the Race for Peace.
As a member of WSFS Bank, a small business lender, we've been around for 185 years, and we've existed so long really by servicing our customers and by servicing our community. We stand for service is our motto, and by pulling in, lending to small businesses, lending to all kinds of businesses, the businesses want to stay where they are, they want to expand, they want to be a part of the community, and they want to help the community grow. And by getting involved in this, that lets them deepen their roots and really continue to grow.
Yes. You want to add to that, Hameen?
Yeah, sure. As being a person out of the community that owns a business, our biggest thing is that we have to be held accountable. That we're in the community. You have to give back, because the thing about it is I have to know you, you have to know me, and it starts a relationship. But being in the community, such as, businesses such as Jen's and so forth, you can't help but to look out the window and see what's going on, to see the needs, and you have a responsibility to do something about it. How can we help? If I could take a kid and put a kid behind a camera, I would do that. It doesn't cost anything but time, because he may go on from there to start his own business, be the next photographer, videographer, and that'll be one person out of the community that I helped. And then it's his duty to help, and then the next person, and so forth. So whether big business, small business, I think that we have a responsibility to the communities that we in and surrounding to give back and to help.
And I like to say that we're not only saving lives, we're changing lives. And that's part of the Race for Peace, to change the mindset, that's to save some of these lives, to help people that need help. Just like we need you guys need the Race for Peace. And like I said, it's in everyone.
Andrew, you couldn't have any better ambassadors for Race for Peace than the two colleagues you have now, the friends you have now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Radnor Studio 21 is delighted to be a part of that and getting the word out. So again, thank you very much, both of you, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you, Rick. We really appreciate it.
And
God bless you.
next segment, we're going to talk about sports and some of the sports figures who are signing on to Race for Peace. Look forward to that.
Thanks.
Until next time, I am Rick Anthony, my co-host Andrew Howell, our guest today. This is Race for Peace. I am Rick Anthony. Take very good care of yourselves.